Painting by the same amount that we have not had the process yet. Taxes are February, December.
Hi.
Third time in 30 years that I've ever hit that. Good evening. I call the Nome County Council sitting as the Board of Equalization to order. The time is 5:30. It is Wednesday, May 3, 2023. Call a roll to establish a quorum of the members.
Member Henderson.
Here.
Member Doug Johnson is excused. Member Mark Johnson.
Here.
Martinson.
Here.
Member Piscoya.
Here.
Member Topcock. Youth Representative Miller is excused. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, the purpose of this meeting is to hear appeals from individuals who believe there are alleged errors in valuation that were not adjusted by the assessor to the taxpayer's satisfaction prior to this meeting. And then you may appeal or prior to the deadline, and at which time you can go to the Board of Equalization in accordance with Alaska statutes. We have scheduled 3 days of hearings, and we'll go as long as we need to when we indeed begin. There are 169 appeals this year. Normally, there's a handful, and those can be resolved often. So there have been many years when the Board of Equalization has simply been canceled. There has been no need to meet. Based on the number of appeals that have been received, this represents the paper that if I printed my packet, we would need to be going through in the next 3 days to hear all of these appeals. Obviously, I haven't gone through it because the paper isn't even open at this point in time. And the way the process works is that after the appeals are filed, Arnie, who represents Appraisal Company of Alaska, and Adam as well, they go through and they attempt to contact every appellant to see if there can be an amicable resolution of the differences between the assessment and the taxpayer. That having been said, with 169 appeals and this much paper, they haven't had a chance to go through it all, and neither have we. And as a result, we're hoping that we are going to plan to recess this meeting and reschedule it so that we have an opportunity to hopefully have more of these items gone through between the assessors and the taxpayers, and hopefully the resolution results in a one-page or shorter list of appeals that we ultimately do. So that having been said, I am going to request a motion that the Board of Equalization recess until, what date, Brian?
May 20, we discussed May 24th, 5th, and 6th, exactly 3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today. Okay, so to meet then again at 5:30 on May 24th and succeeding nights as may be necessary. Is there a motion to that effect?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Oh,
There you go.
second.
Okay. Yes, you may ask a question.
I was just, is that gonna cause some problems with scheduling from a lot of the appellants that put in the appeals? That's gonna cause an issue of concern, or if we should take any feedback from any of the folks in the audience to.
The
see what their thoughts are on it, because I think a lot of people have planned and put in a lot of time for this and planned for this to happen this week. So I just want to make sure that they're able to accommodate the change in schedule.
Okay, well, that request, is there anybody that wishes to speak to the change in date? It's not gonna happen today, but anyway.
Seems like it's a good amount of time, but, you know, for this meeting, it was last night we heard about it, so that's not fair.
Bessie?
I'm not sure what the graduation plans are for a lot of families, or if the 24th, 25th, and 26th interferes with that, but it seems if there are people that are prepared to speak to you tonight, are in the audience, why don't you scratch a few off the list?
Unless it's something, unless you have been, okay, who has been contacted by the assessor to have your appeal looked at and have not come to resolution? Anybody? Okay, 1, 2, 3.
This is actually getting kind of interesting.
May I speak?
Because on the other ones, we haven't been through the process yet, so it would be premature, I guess, to take testimony until we know what the proposed resolution is.
Do I have issues with hearing?
I have a question regarding process, because right on the appeals form, it says that the taxpayer appealing will be contacted by the assessor regarding the appeal prior to it coming to here. So it seems like we need to follow that process. I don't know if that's what a statute or just something on a form, or, but that's what it says. By statute.
Also on the second page, under 5, you're given the opportunity to accept or do not accept. And by not having the meeting, you haven't been given the opportunity to accept or not to accept.
No, because you haven't been offered, you have not met with the, you have not met with the assessor to either accept or not accept. So that has not happened. So once that process has happened, then you either agree, and if you do not agree, then you'll be back here. So out of the 3 people that said they've been contacted by the assessor, Jake, can you come back on the 24th?
24th?
I'll put that down.
Okay. Who was the other one here?
Jake, before you leave, maybe we might
We're not
have
having
a-
a meeting.
we might have a different dates, because I know 2 of us are gonna be out of town and maybe not able to call in. That leaves 3, unless Doug is available.
Okay, I thought we had pulled people and had agreement on the date.
There is mild agreement, but not
Okay.
complete agreement.
Okay, how about the following week, on the May, what would be the following Wednesday, the last one of them?
May 31, June 1st, and June 2nd.
Okay, that would eliminate any concern with graduation.
What are you gonna say, Mom?
What's that?
I'm still not available.
Okay.
But it's just me.
Okay. Sir,
What about a week earlier, like May 17th?
we need 3 weeks to go through this process.
That's what, I was gonna suggest the same thing. Do we need 3 weeks?
If I could just say a couple of words, Adam and I basically had 4 days to address these appeals. And I talked it over with the city clerk. I also talked to the state assessor today. And I think we're in agreement. My feeling is everybody has a right to be heard. If you need inspection or anything like that, you certainly have that right, opportunity, and it would only be fair to give you that. We're postponing it, or proposing postponing it, so that you're all given every right that you're supposed to have. And the state assessor, he specifically called this afternoon to say, then please take it. Do the process right, rather than hurrying through it.
Okay,
Because,
so,
several of them, and maybe it's after we get done with the decision making there, maybe I could address just for about 2 minutes why you saw the increase. And in the coming weeks, as we discuss your appeals, things that perhaps you didn't put on your form, very helpful in coming to a resolution. Thank you.
Dan, did you talk to the assessor? Are you one of the people that's involved?
Yes,
Okay,
he
and,
met with us yesterday.
okay, so can you come back either the 24th or the 31st?
I'll be on vacation, but we'll have somebody here.
Okay, all right, and who was the third person? Dave Barron? 24th or 31st?
I don't plan on going anywhere.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
everything's running okay, actually.
And as long as the phone line's ringing, we're working, I'll be calling people every day for the next 3 weeks. And hopefully, I won't have to see any of you, and you won't have to see me. And that's not, because I don't want to see you, but hopefully we don't have this kind of forum again.
Okay, so on the 31st, can people make the 31st?
I'm sure. No, Adam said no for sure.
Okay, well, we've got, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can't get Doug and somebody by telephone on the thing, so. Let's set the 31st, if there's no objection, I mean, as the part of the motion. So that way we ensure there's no conflict with the school activities at your end.
Memorial Day, anybody do Memorial Day here?
That's on Monday, normally?
I don't know what May 31st is.
May 31st is a Wednesday, Thursday, and a Friday.
Memorial Day is the 29th.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Roll call on recessing until 5:30 on Wednesday, May 31.
Member Mark Johnson.
Yes.
Member Martinson.
Yes.
Member Piscoya.
Yes.
Member Topgolf. Member Henderson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then if we can give Arnie just a couple of minutes here to give us all a little primer on the process and what occurred.
We use the term improvement for anything that's put on the land. So several of the appeals say, I've made no improvements, the value should not change. We are obligated by the state law and the state assessor to assess at what's called market value. Market value is based on what things are currently selling for in a municipality. And the way we measure this, our level of efficiency, which right now is about 75%, ideally it should be at 100%, is that we take actual sales data where we are able to. This is a non-disclosure state, so you do not have to tell me what you paid for. But we are able to collect enough data every year, and then we take that and this is what it sold for, this is that specific assessment card. Hopefully one would equal the other. Right now, the sales prices are here, assessed value is at about 75%. So with that in mind, we had to close that gap, both by statute and by the direction of the state assessor. We added 15% to the improvement value. We looked at the land years ago, we felt the land was good. The real rise in value of property here is in the improvements. And so that's, in basic terms, why you saw the increase. It's not necessarily because you added on to your house or did major remodeling or anything. It's strictly a term improvement. Now, as far as appeals, as I talk to you over the next couple of weeks, I like specifics. I try to help the appellants point out the things that I should be considering, because everything we do is from an exterior view, unlike an appraisal. That's when we do for the bank. What Adam is a review appraiser. He sees everything inside and out. I make my determinations from an exterior view. So there's things I could be missing. For instance, you've got a 2-story house, the downstairs is just open stud. I would not know that. We don't have the opportunity to go to every door and speak to everybody in the fall as we do fall assessment. So that's the merit of the appeal process. It's a time when you point out, here's everything that's wrong with my property or why it doesn't fit into, say, the 15% increase. But just saying, I've done nothing, therefore there's no justification. It's like saying, I bought my house 10 years ago, I've done nothing with it since that time, done absolutely nothing. Will you sell it for the same amount that you purchased it for 10 years ago? Because you haven't done anything to it to merit an increase. And I'm not trying to be flippant there, but it's kind of that. And so as I speak to you over the coming days, if you can point out things that that wouldn't normally be considered. I've got major cracking in the house. I've got settling every year. The pipes froze and I've got water damage. The roof's bad. I've got water damage. Those type of things. It's very helpful. And as I say, I'm really kind of an advocate for you. And finally, the city is not giving me or any of the other assessors, we need another $500,000 in revenue, go out and raise values. We are autonomous from the city. All we do by contract is value property to the best of our ability. But we do use sales data. We also use what's called an assessment manual, which is developed by a research firm. All they do is values throughout the nation. We use that so that we can ensure uniformity. If there's 5 houses, say, all the same square footage, same exterior, same inside design, everybody on the same scale. The one thing that does change is the age. If this house is 1,500 square feet and it's 20 years old, and this one is 1,500 square feet and it's brand new, you would think that the one here, 20 years old, probably has lesser value because of depreciation. So it's not a direct line. The house down the street is the same size as mine. It should be the same value. Well, it doesn't quite work that way. So with that brief statement, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to field them. I don't know that I'll make you happy, but at least I'll try.
So what you're saying is if any of us have the language on our appeal that just says, I have not made any improvements, that's not gonna apply.
No. It really doesn't give me, why should the value change if you, as I've explained, would you not expect your house to increase over time rather than continue to decrease in value? It was kind of like what I said in the beginning, I buy my house for $300,000. I do not, in 10 years, would I expect to sell it for $300,000? Inflation would probably raise its value up in the marketplace.
That's
To
kind of.
answer your question a little bit further, whatever you wrote on your form, he's still gonna call you and ask you
Yeah, I don't discount it out of hand. Well, she says no improvements, therefore I'm gonna say it's not a responsive appeal, denied. No, I'm not that unfair.
Is that?
But that's why I wanted a couple of minutes here to kind of put this out, that be specific. Defend yourself, give me something to work with. I still might say no, but at least you gave it a try. And of course, too, the Board of Equalization also has the power to say, Arnie, you are completely wrong on this one, and we're going to adjust the value thusly. I am not the final authority. They, as the board, and if you don't like my determination, their determination, you can always take it to court. But I'd rather not.
And then the state assessor grades us too on, looks at what our valuations are and Arnie's work. And, if they find it unreasonable or not matching, I don't know if they change it, but they certainly let us know that, hey, we've got a problem.
Now, and if, say, the municipality was in line for some type of state funding, they could say, well, the city of Nome is not doing their job assessment-wise. They could be doing a far better job of raising revenue, therefore you're going to be denied revenue sharing, if there was something available.
And
Sorry to interrupt.
Bryant corrected me on something I said.
Every year, right around October 1st, we get what's called a full value determination. And that is basically what the state assessor has taken off of our state report, which is due on July 1st. And then he looks at other size municipalities, and almost always he adds $40 to $50 million to the value of Nome's property, because according to him, we consistently undervalue certain aspects.
Thank you.
The question was, you were saying that the land value was kind of caught up, now the house value was 15%, or was lower, so kind of bringing that up. It's 75 to 100.
Well, we're never going to attain it. If we had tried to go to 100%, you'd probably have my head on a pike pole out in
Right.
front under the arch.
But, so is what I'm getting at is there's a roughly a 15% increase across the board, or individually, or?
It was 15% across the board
And then,
throughout the community for residential.
and then I'm just curious, 'cause I don't know, but in your time, have you ever seen, maybe the market's a little inflated, if it ever were to change, have you ever in your life seen it go down at an assessed value? I don't know, because I honestly don't know the question. I'm not trying to bait or anything.
I don't know that I can honestly say that I've ever seen it go down, but certainly I shouldn't really say this. I would hope that it did. It makes it a whole lot easier on all of us. I have seen unit values go down. Marshall Swift CoreLogic, a research firm, I have seen unit values, the square footage value, decrease. And certainly, every time I get new changes, I incorporate them into our manual. So that
I can say that Arnie and I live in Anchorage. I can say that based on my own experience as a homeowner, I saw in 2007 values decrease with the Anchorage assessor.
I just didn't know.
I hadn't seen it as the assessor, but I'd seen it as a homeowner.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I used to have a condo downtown. It was an old condo, and every year, the value would be here, the next year it would be down here, up and down like a roller coaster. How could it change, $15,000 to $30,000 a year? Wasn't a very big condo.
Okay, I hope that answered the questions.
One question, in a non-disclosure state, how do you determine, how do you come across knowing the sale price, the comparable sale price?
A lot of people will share that information, or we also look, because say, like a lender will have an appraisal done for a borrower. That is private information between buyer and seller. I can't call the bank and say, hey, what did you appraise the Smith home at? No, it's proprietary information. But many people will share that information. Also, we look at deeds of trust. Deeds of trust are public information. I can go to the state recorder's office or say, someone says, well, I just purchased my home. I can look and see if there's a deed of trust, and I can make an estimation of what they paid for it. Now and what I use that for is I don't add a percentage to it, because you never know. Some borrowers maybe have a better financial backing than others and put no money down. Others, they need to put up 10% to qualify for the loan. So I measure an assessment oftentimes by the deed of trust. If I see a deed of trust, say for $400,000, and an appellant is saying, well, I think my value should be $350,000, I would say, but you have a note that's greater than the assessed value. I don't know, what's your point here?
Doesn't
It's
it
already proven that it's worth more than, as saying that, you can't use the argument that, well, I paid too much for it. You can use that argument, but, in cold terms,
Or the
you
bank
paid
loaned
it.
me too much for it. Or the bank loaned me too much for it.
Yeah.
Hi, coming in the back there.
I don't know. I'm not trying to be flippant here. I'm just,
Let me go to him.
Curious, what percentage of properties in Nome were assessed in this last year?
what percentage
Were
of,
reassessed,
100%.
so that's
Yeah, everybody got the same,
1,500
shock ticker.
properties?
Hmm?
1,500 properties, 3,000?
They did not visit 1,500 properties.
Just-
Every property was assessed.
the state law says that we should review every property at least once every 3 years. And so we do make a concerted
Every 3
effort
years.
to visit at least a third of the properties every year to, but they do change.
Well, 156 appeals, isn't that bad then?
You're not behind this desk. Well communicated.
So I bought my house in 2021. Someone bought it in 2017. It never got assessed value because I printed out the property card and stuff before I bought it. From 2017 to 2021, there was nothing assessed. It jumped from 149 for the building, and then all of a sudden it was 325,000 that they wanted. That was $120,000.
How much did you pay for it?
Or whatever, but with the land and stuff. But, I mean, I think what's going on, houses or whatever weren't getting their assessed value done within those years and stuff, and now they're trying to catch up, and that's why it's so big of a thing. You said it was 15%. My assessed value last year was 298, and now they wanna do my assessed value at 355. That's more than the 15%.
Yes, but, and
Okay.
Adam did quite a bit of research.
On an individual thing, he has an appeal in there. Let's deal with that in the appeal. And if there's nothing, go ahead, Calvin.
Not to jump off the subject, but as a whole, the city of Nome, mill rate, taxes are going up 15% across the board. Are we looking at like lowering the mill rate or anything? Because inflation is.
That's not a discussion for the Board of Equalization.
No, I just wanted to throw that out there. So is there an adjustment to make it all work so that kind of makes a medium for everybody because other taxes have gone up and things have happened, fuel taxes and stuff to where.
Yeah, that's not.
I just want to.
But I will say that the proposed budget, the draft has a lower mill rate.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing further, the Board of Equalization stands in recess.
So do we get notified, or I guess I'm wondering with the process, and I didn't know if you got a public.
You all want my phone number?
Well, it just seems like the city could do a better job with the communication and dissemination of information. The whole process has been confusing. On that letter that we received with our amounts for our property, there were multiple ways to appeal. If you came here in person, you came here in person. For example, I sent an email. I never got a receipt that you even received it or if it was being accepted. Nor did I get notification that this was happening. I happened to see it on social media. I didn't know it was 150 people that you need to notify, and we all came here with the assumption to speak and be heard. And clearly the statute allows for that 30-day mark from the receipt of the appeal. So I just would speak to the poor communication and dissemination of information. I don't feel like I should check social media at 11 o'clock at night to see that, oh, look at the list, where am I? I just feel like.
I mean, as far as your, of that listing, but I mean, I guess the notice of this meeting was mailed with the assessment.
It didn't have a time on it, but the
No,
assessor is
That's
supposed
not
to
what I'm
say
saying.
it by
I'm
state
saying-
statute. Okay.
As a property
Anyway,
owner, each of us should have been notified what's happening and when and how. None of us were.
And that's precisely why we are put a 3-week window in here so that we could go through that process. Because it simply was impossible for these guys to go through this information and for us to be able to go through this information as well. So that's the whole reason why we're extending this process is so that we have the
I
opportunity.
understand that the numbers are high. What I'm suggesting is better communication with the property owners. The way that we get notified and be told where to go and how we don't. Nobody answered the phone at the city office when I called, over and over.
I got one last comment.
Sure.
Talk to you, it probably won't go down to these guys. The only, I didn't even contest this because I know how. Understand what the job is. The reason we appeal it is because I understand properties is going to increase, and I think everybody understands it's gonna increase to keep the city government going. We ain't getting our money's worth. The roads are crap, water sewer is crap, drainage is crap. Give us our money's worth and we'll
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all, appreciate your time.
John, this is Margaret Thomas.
Oh, okay. I won't be back.
Now that I'm not sitting here reading 1,700 pages of.